Hi, Ann Cornick from Paint and Porcelain. I'm here to help beginners get started in China painting, and I'm also here to try to help experienced China painters have someone to paint along with. Okay, so today we're going to do the final on our poppies, and I'm going to tilt you down so you can see what's going on. Oh, I think you can see the plate pretty well. Okay, maybe a little too far. Let's come up a little bit there. All right, so that's the plate. And for this session, the final session, hopefully, on this plate, I'm going to be using browns and kind of a Persian red or a yellow red and a little bit of auburn, which is the lighter brown. So if you have a lighter brown, and I don't know what that might be on your palette, but if you have something that's not that rich brown, which is a real dark brown, then that's the kind of color I would use. You probably could use a yellow brown if you had it. And we're going to be using a yellow brown too. So I'm going to start out with the leaves, as I always do. And I'm just going to go through, and I want around the poppy to be, the main poppy to be really dark on this fire. I like dark backgrounds a lot. I haven't done a lot of them with you, but I do like dark backgrounds. You notice as I go around, and I don't know if you can really see that, but this petal here had a little, I can cut in with the dark brown and give it a little more ruffle, a little more character. I'm going to go down here and do the same thing. I'm going to go right behind this little poppy flower here, turning my plate because you always paint towards yourself. And I'm going to do it there. And I really want this to be almost black back there so that the poppy is on top. Okay. And I'm just going to, kind of like we've always done, just kind of go around it. I'm going to use the brown here. And I'm going to go a really dark brown right underneath it. That's the darkest brown right here. And I'm going to have to turn my plate and pull it out just a tad so it's not quite so in your face there. Alrighty. And I'm going to turn my plate and continue on to this other flower that's here. And I'm going to cut into the petal a little bit. And also do this plate here, this leaf here. Now, this leaf is on top, this one here, of the one that's next to it. So the one next to it, I'm just going to put a little more of the depth there. And I'm going to bring a little depth around behind these leaves. You wonder, what the heck is she doing, huh? But I want to set them off really well, and you'll see why when I start doing the background. Still using rich brown. I like rich brown. It's a real dark brown. Not everybody likes it, but I do. And then I have to take it back, kind of look at it for a minute. There you go. You see how much that added? It really brought that top poppy up on top of everything. So I'm going to tuck a little bit behind here, up at the top on this leaf that I'm doing here. I'm getting better at painting while holding things up, I think. There we go. That helped a little there. And then this poppy here, I'm going to tuck behind by also using the dark brown, the rich brown again. So I'm going to take my rich brown, really dark, right there. And I put more of the brown in behind there. So I think if I turn it the correct way, and it doesn't look like I had enough brown up in here. Hang on, I'm going to do a little more. Just so you can see it there. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. I could go through and put a little brown on the edges of these leaves. I don't know that I necessarily need to do that right now. If I wanted to, you could also add a little bit of Persian red on the edges of the leaves. And I think that that would also bring out the color. Let me show you how you could do that. I'm taking a little Persian or yellow red. They're very similar. And if you put it on a leaf, let's pick this one here, because I think it'll show up the best. If you put, oh, that's a little dark. If you put just a tad on there, and that got a little bit dark. You see, kind of looks brownish. Anyway, that's another option if you don't really want to use the brown, but okay. So that's where we are. We put the background in. Now I'm gonna really start putting the background in on the plate. And I want to use a yellow red or a Persian red to start out with. You're gonna think I'm crazy, but this is the way I put in my backgrounds. I do a crosshatch stroke, as you can see. So I'm going to start feathering it out. And feathering it out, you're holding the end of your brush and you're just lightly going over it. I'm pulling it towards the edge of the plate right now. And I'm wiping my brush. And I don't know if you can see this, and so I'll move it over a little so you can. Let's do it this way. Maybe just a little bit more, like this. Okay. I'm wiping my brush down here on my paper towel because I want to take some of the color off as I go around the plate so that it blends a little better. Okay. And I'm pulling it just up to, but not over, the leaves and the flowers that are there. I keep wiping the color off. So I'm feathering it out. Now, this is the base. I'm going to take and keep going around the edge a little bit here. But I'm not going to be as ferocious with the color. I'm going to just start, you're going to start to fade it out a little bit because you're going away from the focal point. Okay. And it's hard to hold the plate when you've got this much color on it because you're going to get your fingers in it. So you're going to have to watch and go back and really clean up any of your messes wherever you get your fingers in the paint. Then, down at the base here, I'm going to add a little more of the rich brown. I tested on my tile. I don't want it quite that heavy. And I'm just going to do a few dabs. Can you see? There and there. Let's see, maybe a little over in here. And I'm going to blend it in, and it'll give me a different depth of that red. It'll make everything seem a little richer, and it'll give it a little punch. I'm going crosswise this way, then I turn it the other way, then I wipe my brush, then I go back in. Got a little buildup right there. And I'm going for an even coat around the outside. Now I have a little bud here. I'm just going to go over that. So as we go around, I'm just going over that. I will pull it out at the end, and that's how you'll see it really, really stand out near the end. And as I get up this way, I'm not being as solid with the color. I'm trying to add a little more variety, not so much all the red. A little, let a little bit of the background peek through. And if it's not peeking through for you, you can press and release kind of thing, and then, you know, press down and lift up, and then go back in and do it, and I think you'll be happy with it. And here I just went up to the leaves. I didn't go on the leaves. All right, so that's what we have so far. Now, in order to finish the background, one of the things I want to do is decide, I want to put my light in. This is going to end up very fallish looking when we're done with it. So I'm going to clean my brush, add a little bit of oil, pat the oil off as you saw, and I'm going to take, you would probably have yellow brown. I was lucky enough to come across a beautiful color called pumpkin, and it was made by Kay Gottschalk. And she used to be, I believe, the president of the the World Organization of China Painters, the WOCP, which is the national group. And her colors, I tell you, they are just gorgeous. I love them. And this is called pumpkin, but it is basically a yellow brown. I tried a yellow brown against it, and if you use yellow brown, you have to use just a tad, not as heavy. But if you can see, I'm adding my light in the center of the plate because I want this color, the red, to go all the way around with this glowing light in the center. And I'm going right over all my, I go right over all my stems, all my buds. I can always wipe them out later. And I'm going to turn it around and just keep painting. Now this brush is my 3/4 inch. This is a China painting brush. It's not the kind with the metal, it's the other kind. It has the plastic or whatever they used at the base. And like I said, it's not a synthetic. It's a real brush with real bristles. And for some reason, not only does it do a smoother job, but it's wider. It's a bigger brush. It's a 12. Brushes come either in inches or they come in, I guess it's brush sizes that they use for painters. And this is a 12, so it's a large brush. But for the background, I want it nice and smooth. And so I'm putting it in right now. And I'm going to come out further than I eventually will end up because I want to be able to blend it in with my my color that I'm using around the edge. And this is a really great blending color. I think, and I know that the yellow brown would do the same thing. It'd be a really great blending color because it's real light and delicate. Okay, so this is where we're at. Now I didn't put any depth up in here, and I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking that was a mistake. I need to get a little brown up on that leaf. I'm going to switch back to my other brush. I find for background the China painting brush works best, but when I want to get in detail like around these leaves and poppies and things, I really need to use the ones with the metal. And I'm just going around that top leaf up here, this one up here. Whoops, where is it? There, on that side. And in here, I'm just putting some, oops, here we go. I'll turn towards you a little better. There we go. Just so that they're not left out in the dark. And you might have noticed I also kind of cut into, maybe a little too much there. There we go. I cut into that top petal here, and that gives you that frilly, edgy look that you want on the poppies. So, okay. Kind of done with that right now. So clean my brush. I'm going back to the other brush. Oh, that's not my other brush. This is, okay. And I usually clean my brush if I haven't used it even in a short period of time, just in case I thought I had one color in there and I had a totally different color. because I want to make sure that I'm using the color that I want. So if if you haven't used a brush even for a couple minutes and you go, I think I had pumpkin in there, but I'm not sure, or yellow brown in there, and I'm not sure. Okay, so I brought the pumpkin, or the yellow brown, way out. Now that's a hard color for you to see. It comes along the edges all the way out to here. And now I'm going into my Persian and going around. And I'm going to start a little bit lighter. I can always add color, but I'm going to start a little bit lighter. And I can go darker if I want. And I want a little variation. I like variation in depth and color. So again, going around, and this time I'm wiping my brush, as you can see, and then I'm going back in and cross-hatching it, feathering it out, whatever you want to call it. There we go. And now it's just a matter of preference. As you go around, you have to decide, how dark do I want it? What do I want the final product to actually look like? And as you paint, I think you'll get a sense of what that will look like. Oh, there we go. It's a little much, there's a line up at the top, I know right now. And we're going to take care of that in a minute. So I'm going to do this. And then as we get up there, I'm going to, without cleaning my brush, I'm going to pick up some of that yellow brown that I was using, and I'm just going to really work these two together. I'm going to quickly do it on this side, just so you get a sense of the finished product, even though it won't be finished yet. See how it's turning out? I really like this. You can go light, you can go dark. These poppies turned out so dark on the second coat that I really felt I needed to use a dark background to really bring out the color. So that's the reason I went this dark on the edging this time. I prefer it. Now you see again, I have a line here. Can you see that? Okay. And I'm just going to take the yellow, or the pumpkin. I have to clean my brush a little. I thought I wouldn't have to, but it's dragging a lot. It needs a fresh coat of oil. And I'm just going to, and sometimes when you put that fresh coat of oil, see what happens? Right here. I don't know if you can see that swoosh, but that will occasionally happen. And so you're going to have to really pat the oil off your brush and go back in and play around until you get rid of that oily buildup and residue. Okay, I'm not doing the best job on this because I'm rushing. When I did the other piece, it took me about an hour to really get the background the way I wanted it. And here I'm just whipping through so that you can see what it looks like. Okay, that at least gives you an idea. Now I'm going to play with it a little more. I know it sounds weird, but I might actually add some blue to the background. I think I might like that. Here and there. I really killed this. Hang on, let me just fix this. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's how it's going to look right now, so you can get an idea. Now, I might take and add a little blue. I know it sounds weird, but here and there I can see, like here there was a little blue behind. So I might take a little baby blue and just, oops, that's a little bright, and just put a little hint of it there. Pull it out gently. See how I did that? I don't know if you can see that blue there. It's over here, right here. Oops, right here. And you can do that. You can play as you go through this. You can play and add a little blue, add a little, another color, like down here when I added the brown. Make sure you go around, clean the edges of your plate with your thumb, with a Kleenex or something. Okay, so that gives you a good idea of what I'm going for. I haven't quite gotten it there. I'm going to have to finish pulling out things and playing with things. One thing I want to mention is when you want to wipe out some of these buds, you see this bud here kind of got buried, or this one over here totally got buried. You're going to put turpentine on your brush, and then here. So I've got this, it's buried. Can you see it? It's a little bud right there, and it's buried. I'm going to take and just, I've got a little turpentine on here, and I'm going to pull it out like that. Pull out the top of it a little bit. And I'm going to pull out a little bit of the stem near the top, like that. And can you see how, I'm trying to get this in frame. I'm really going to come up close. Can you see how that helped? It's this bud right here that we're talking about. And I've got another one on this side that got buried right here. Do the same thing. I'm going to take and, here, I'll try to be up there so you can see it. I'm going to take and just wipe it out a little so that it comes out a little better. All right. Yeah, I like the blue. I think my favorite blue, I'm using baby blue because I know most people would have that. I would use Cool Shadow. This is the Cool Shadow here. And when I put the Cool Shadow up there and start wiping it in, Cool Shadow is one of those colors that blends beautifully. So if you need a color that blends beautifully, Cool Shadow is it. Now the final thing we're going to do on this, if I can find my pointer, I usually try to pull everything out ahead of time. Here it is. This is my pointer. You know, it's the really itty bitty teeny tiny one. And I know my teacher said she did white enamel on the little tickies in the middle. I tried white paint and it worked fine. So what you do is you take your liner, you put it in white paint. I don't know, can you tell that I've got white paint on there? Oh yeah, you can. And you're going to stand up on the very edge of it, and you're going to touch it ever so gently. Keep loading your brush. What you want to do is not make smudges. You want to make dots. So you have to, you almost roll the brush in the paint. Let me see how close I can get here for you to see. And then you just dot, 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 dot. Oops, running out of it. Roll it again. Can you see what I'm doing? A little dot here, dot there, dot there. That's how that comes out. If they're too much or they're too, they're lopsided or something, you can always take your brush and correct them. You can wipe them off very gently and do the same thing. And then you're going to do the same thing on this poppy. You're going to dot, 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 dot. You don't have to do as many, but it just gives you a little bit of detail. Okay, so that's the way this poppy plate turned out. Let me bring you back up again. Okay. Alrighty, so this is how this poppy plate turned out. And of course, I'm going to go through and soften up in this area near the top where there's still a little bit of a line. I really haven't finished it, but I will put it on the Facebook page so you can see it. But this is the way this one turned out. Now, let me show you the sister plate that I worked on during the week. And like I said, this may fire out. This took me 2 fires. And this is, can you see that? I have to tilt it so that it doesn't get too much glare. maybe if I bring it back. There we go. This is a turquoise version of the same plate. And I really, really like the turquoise version. Let me see if I could turn the color down a little and you can see it there. I don't know if that helps, but there. That's the turquoise version of the same plate. So what I wanted to stress so that you could see it was that background makes all the difference. And if you, no matter what you choose to paint, there we go. It's background that makes the difference. And you can get the color you want simply by experimenting. The nice thing about China paint is you can wipe it off and then wipe around the edges very carefully on your plate. And that hopefully will make sure that it turns out just beautifully. So this is what we did today. Got a chance to see it there. And then again, this is the one that I did the other day. And it actually photographed very well, so you'll be able to see it. Thanks for joining me. I hope you liked what you saw, and if you did, please like this page and also subscribe to it. And in addition, you can check out any of the products or studies that you saw at paintnporcelain.com or check the description box below for information.